Geico asks, how would you love a chance to save some money on insurance? Of course you would. And when it comes to great rates on insurance, Geico can help. Like with insurance for your car, truck, motorcycle, boat, and RV. Even help with homeowners or renters coverage. Plus, add an easy-to-use mobile app, available 24-hour roadside assistance and more, and Geico is an easy choice. Switch today and see all the ways you could save. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com or contact your local agent today.
Hello everyone, welcome to Scary Time. I'm Greg, host and curator of all the shows on Indie Drop-In Network. Every week I find an episode I think you will love from an independent podcast creator. If you like what I do here, you can send me a tip at buymeacoffee.com/indie drop-in. Today's episode is from the Cryptid Code. On the Cryptid Code, a skeptic, spiritualist, and conspiracy theorist come together to discuss the creatures that exist somewhere between science and superstition. I don't know about you, but that sounds super fun. If you enjoy it, check the show notes for links to subscribe to the Cryptid Code. Enjoy the show.
Begin.
Hello, we're the Cryptid Code. We're your hosts, Harmon,
Kenzie.
JP.
and we like to talk about cryptids and aliens and generally anything spooky.
And we also cuss a lot.
Indeed. This is our second episode, and we're passing the torch to Kenzie, who will be presenting this week's cryptid.
Thank you, Harmon. Be prepared because I did research, I promise.
That's a good start.
Now I am not confident with that.
It gets a little rocky the more I go.
Alrighty.
But today we are beginning our episode in South Carolina. Our famous cryptid is named the Lizardman of Scape or Swamp, or better known in some areas as the Lizardman of Lee County. What I personally like right off the bat about this man's here is the fact that there is not only evidence, physical evidence that they've found, but also police reports, news coverage, as well as sightings. Way more than what Dear Sheep Squatch bestowed upon us in last episode.
Get dabbed on, Sheep Squatch.
Sheep Squatch is a bitch.
He is said to inhabit areas where there are swamps in Lee County, also areas along sewers or abandoned subway stations.
Like Shrek.
Does he have a donkey friend too? Maybe a cat that he hangs out with?
What are these references? Please stop.
It's fucking Shrek, bro.
It's
fucking Shrek, bro.
You see, the thing about Lizardmen
Michael Myers.
is we have layers.
Michael Myers, bro.
So, he was first sighted. I keep saying he. I guess I should more specifically call him Lizardman. Not off to a good start. Lizardman was actually first sighted in 1987 by a man named George Holloman Jr. But the port... A boat.
The boat pulled into port, and then he...
The report was mostly disregarded.
We're going to edit this out. Do you want to say that again? For the folks at home?
So the Lizardman was actually first sighted in 1987 by George Holloman Jr. However, the report was mostly disregarded, and it wasn't until 1988 that things blew up for the scaly man.
Scaly man.
A lizard man
Is
has scales.
that your turn on or something?
Maybe.
Scalies?
Maybe.
I sound like a Muppet. Sorry, something about lizards.
Just gets you. It's going.
So he hangs out in like metro tunnels
I
sewers.
Like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles?
He doesn't eat pizza.
You don't know.
Honestly,
What does he eat? What's his diet?
You don't really know what he eats, I guess, until 2004, but you're just going to have to fucking wait for that.
What, was he fucking vegan until then?
I don't know.
He's eating corn.
On July 14th, 1988, Lee County Sheriff was called to investigate some car damage in a place called Bishopville. The car was covered in tooth marks, different kind of scratches. There was hair, and there was also a lot of muddy footprints.
Wait. I assume Lizardman is, a lizard, right?
Let me continue.
But he has hair?
Please, okay.
He gets cold.
Listen. Let me get there.
Okay, keep going.
It was considered interesting that this car was damaged in such a way, so there was actually immediately news coverage about it, and that's where we get 17-year-old Christopher Davis. He saw said newspaper coverage about Lizardman. Well, what the fuck am I saying? He saw the report on this car damage, and so he thought it had something to do with what had happened to him 2 weeks prior, so that's when he stepped forward and told his story. Apparently he was one of the first eyewitness accounts of Lizardman, and explained him in great detail. So what he said, and I quote, Lizardman was Greek?
Greek?
Green! He was green, wet-like, about 7 feet tall, and had 3 fingers, red eyes, skin like a lizard, and snake-like scales. From what I understand, I'll talk about this later as well, but there was an artist rendition of what they believe the Swamp Man.
It's like a Swamp Man now, too.
The Lizard Man looks like. And so it's assumed that he has scales from his elbows to his hands, knees to his feet, and from his neck up to his head. And then the rest of his body is covered in hair.
So he has like a hair romper? Like he's a dude, bro, with his hair romper, rocking it in the swamp. He's trying to hand out brewskis and do shotguns.
I mean, I have no idea. From what I understand, they never even did anything with the hair that they found on the vehicles. It was just assumed based off of eyewitness testimonies and based off of just evidence that was gathered or seen at these scenes, that he had hair somewhere. And it was just, that was what they believed he to look like.
What if he had like a sidekick that was just Hair Boy? It was Lizard Man and Hair Boy.
And what, they're walking a line?
Yeah.
So you mentioned this Christopher guy.
Yes.
What was his encounter?
So according to Davis, he had been on his way to work when he had unfortunately gotten a flat tire right near a swamp. And he said as he was changing his tire, he looked up after he heard something coming out of the swamp, and standing on the road a little ways away from him was this creature. And Davis was like, well, fuck. Finished whatever he had to do with his tire, hopped in his car, and started to drive away.
So either you're telling me Lizardman is like slow as shit and was like crawling towards this dude, or this man is like a NASCAR level like pit crewman, and it's just like boo 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 with like air tools and shit, and just got it done in like 5 seconds flat.
Yeah, I don't necessarily know if at this point he had technically already finished with that and he was just hanging out by the side of his car when all of a sudden Lizardman appeared, or if he was still like doing it. But I mean, honestly, if I saw a creature like that, I would have booked it like immediately. But if he was in an area that was, I guess, not driven frequently, not near anything specific, I guess it would make sense to definitely finish your car and get in it, and it would be your best bet to get away.
He was just admiring his tire. He was like, damn, Chris, that's a
this is some good
damn good tire.
I think he just loved his car. He was like, I'm not leaving you behind, baby. I don't know what he drove.
I want to know how long he stared at Lizardman for to get that.
Do they have like meaningful eye contact?
As he's like writing it down, so like later he can pick him out of a lineup.
Oh my god. Well, at this point, right, he's in his car. He's about to take off because he's like, I just saw something I probably should never have seen in my lifetime. When as he starts moving, Lizardman proceeds to chase after him and hop on top of his vehicle. So Lizardman, yes, he's trying to basically like get into the car or attack Davis. Unsure exactly.
Maybe it was like cold out, you know?
But
in South Carolina,
if you're cold,
in the swamp.
Cold.
Was that like the summer?
I thought that only applied to like possum memes.
Well, it applies to Lizardman memes now too.
Well, where was I going with that? I heard someone sneeze.
Trying to get in the car.
Was that Lizardman coming for us?
How many cryptids are gonna have a beef with us after this show?
I'll beef with Sheep Squatch all day.
And he'll run away.
Goddamn right he will, unless he's drunk apparently.
So, Lizardman is on top of Christopher Davis's car as he is trying to speed away without losing his life, apparently. Basically, the damage done to his car was his side view mirror was knocked off. There were scratches, bite marks, tufts of hair, that kind of stuff on top of the vehicle. And at this point, Davis is like, fuck me. So he's swerving around on the road to try to get rid of Lizardman, and that's not working. So instead, he slams on his brakes, sends the creature flying, drives around it, and speeds off.
I mean, I personally would have ran him over, honestly.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, you fuck up my car, we beefing.
I like me and Sheep Squatch.
Yeah.
Beef for no reason.
I will hit you with my Honda Civic and pray it hurts you more it does the hood.
Well, Davis reported all of this, not only to the police, but also to the newspapers. And once the newspapers got a hold of this, the town went crazy.
I want pictures of Lizardman.
They were very, very much interested in Lizardman and what was going on with him. It was starting to blow up in their newspapers and everything like that, and in other kinds of media. They started making T-shirts and selling them in honor of him. And it got so popular to the point where the radio station, WCOS of South Carolina, even offered $1 million reward for anyone who could capture Lizardman alive, for the sole purpose of believing that if they were to have the creature on a show, like wanting people to come and see it, showing them off like that, they would make their money back tenfold.
Like the end of King Kong? Just put them on stage with like hula dancers?
I mean, I guess from what I understood and what I was reading, it was almost like they were referring to it as like kind of like a museum oddity, but it just happened to be alive. Like you could get to walk by and stare at it, and
stare back lovingly,
and chase you.
Meaningful eye contact.
Meaningful eye contact.
So it's actually kind of funny that you mentioned the reward, because my friend's dad was in the military, and he actually was in South Carolina on base during that time.
Mm-hmm.
And he told us that a bunch of his Marine friends were actually going down to Lee County to try and get the $1 million reward.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And apparently, even though I couldn't find anything to back this up, the Marine Corps did send a recon unit to try and find Lizardman. But like I said, I can't verify that.
It's interesting, though, the military, if, let's say this is true, the military would be interested in a cryptid.
Yeah, you don't see that very often in cryptid cases where the military takes like an active role.
Yeah, that's actually very, very interesting. Oh, wow. I'm impressed, Armin. You always have interesting stories to go along with the cryptids. One of these days it'll be a personal story and you'll be like, I finally caught Mothman.
Thank you, Kenzie.
You're welcome, Armin.
Or it's telling the future.
I mean, look back on this in like 10 years when you caught him.
I caught Mothman.
And I have him like a big jar with air holes on top.
Just says lamp on the side.
And he's just like banging into the glass every couple of minutes.
What would you feed Mothman?
Moth treats?
Moths?
Sweaters?
Why would you feed Mothman?
Don't moths eat each other? I don't know.
What the fuck?
The bug kingdom's a weird place.
The bug kingdom.
I feel like the
Kingdom.
lizard kingdom is a very weird
Well,
place.
apparently it's a hierarchy of people, so yeah.
So about Lizardman.
Okay, I'm sorry. So at this point, Lizardman's blowing up in the media. And by blowing up in the media, I'm not kidding. Once they started reporting on him in Bishopville, Lee County in general overtook it, the whole state. And then all of a sudden, 100 different newspapers nationally were reporting on Lizardman. And just it was like one of those oddities of like cryptids where everybody was actually starting to believe that it was real because it was just such a crazy story. And I actually found the newspaper that reported Davis's story, And there's a quote in it that I absolutely love. It's towards the end, and it says, and I quote, "Whether the creature is a giant lizard, a panther, a bear, a one-eyed cow, or as one man suggested, an alligator running on its back legs,
That is the most terrifying fucking thought.
the imagination of Lee County residents will be all the better for it."
A one-eyed cow?
No, hold on. Can you imagine an alligator standing his big ass up and sprinting at you?
Oh, God.
On two legs.
He probably couldn't even
fucking
see you,
business.
though. Like, imagine.
He can fucking
They
smell
got
your fear.
eyes on the side of their heads and, like, you know, on the top portion. Let's say they're on their tongue. They got eyes here.
On their tongue.
This one ain't on his tongue.
And it's like, you know, to the side on the tongue. If they were upright and ran at you, they couldn't even see you.
Well, they could do this.
No, their neck can
For those at home, I just made a crane shape with my hand to indicate that the alligator on two legs is looking down.
Again, like, can they even do that? I
I
don't
don't
think
know
they
that
have a neck.
I don't know if they can, but I feel like when it's decided it's going to sprint at you, it knows where you are. It isn't marked your location in its mind. It's coming for you.
The
and
two-legged-
you're not running away.
You get a pop-up on your phone. The bipedal gator would like to know your location.
But can we also say an alligator on two legs would not be able to jump on top of a car?
I mean,
I don't know
if it can run.
Because they can fucking climb. Like, they can climb like fences.
Can they climb onto a vehicle in motion?
Well, it could depends. How fast was
If they
he
can
going?
I
run.
don't know.
Because if it was sprinting and he like just started, that motherfucker could have got on.
Or he could have been going really slow if he didn't finish putting his tire on and he just fucked
True,
up
if he
his
only
rim.
like put in like a couple of lug nuts,
Yeah.
and then he's like, I'm going. Of course, so far I feel like this kid just like hit something or was like drunk driving and he didn't want to tell his parents. They didn't say anything. And 2 weeks later, or however long it was,
And it damaged the roof?
you don't know, he could have fucking like rolled, or well, you know, if he had a deer and knocked out his mirror, could have popped his tire and fucking rolled over the top.
What fucking deer?
Jesus Christ.
Completely avoid the hood, hit just the side mirror, somehow flip on top of the car, leave deep scratches with its hooves or antlers, I guess.
Apparently
and then
it's
pop
out
the
because
tire.
there's
I'm
teeth
saying.
marks.
Oh, that's true. There are teeth marks. Never mind. Never mind.
So
I redact my
two-legged,
statement.
two-legged gator or deer with piranha teeth.
Or one-eyed cow.
One.
No. we're
Also
not-
with piranha
we're
teeth.
disregarding one-eyed cow.
No, but we're gonna keep piranha teeth deer. I'm the one that made it up, and I think it's stupid.
So like,
That's my new cryptid, guys. Piranha deer.
I was gonna ask if it was possible if the sightings were caused by the media coverage and like mass hysteria, but the thing is, mass hysteria doesn't leave fucking gashes in your car.
No, that's that's why I kind of considered it to be more interesting in my opinion, because not only is there like physical evidence in that sense, there's eyewitness testimonies, not a lot, but there are definitely a few. One that I thought was really funny was this guy who ended up claiming that he shot Lizardman.
Pop, 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 make a lizard man drop.
What are these people and like their first reaction is like, I'm gonna shoot it?
Because if it's a two-legged gator,
Well, what if it like wasn't even hostile? Like it was just in the woods standing there.
it
You're like,
seems pretty fucking hostile,
Well,
man.
but here's the thing about that specific story, though, because even though it was an eyewitness testimony, even though they claimed to have shot it, they ended up recanting said story after the fact because they were in possession of an illegal gun. Like, he wasn't allowed to have the gun. Like, it was unregistered, against the law, and here he is shooting at something. So he had to say, I was kidding, I never shot it, I don't have a gun. What? Who, me?
So
I've
he
never
might-
owned a firearm.
So he might actually have seen it, but is now lying to cover his ass.
Yes, or he was lying to begin with, or like it was just two lies. I don't know, but I found that one interesting because he didn't care if anyone judged him for it. He just didn't want to go to jail.
Yeah.
That's fair.
And I can understand the mass hysteria aspect because, you know, all of these cars are getting damaged in this week. Then Davis came forward, said what happened to him 2 weeks prior to that. And then after his report, more reports ended up following, all including car damage with the bite marks and the scratches. But again, physical evidence, I don't necessarily think that you can repeat the same bite mark and like just pattern over and over again if you don't know the other people whose cars are being attacked and scratched and bit and all that kind of stuff. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it would be hard to replicate and
over and over again, unless it was like one person in charge of it and just running around doing it. But even then, it's kind of like, eh.
Like if it was just sightings, we could chalk this up to mass hysteria. But it's the fact that there's damage to go with it.
Yeah, and the funny thing to me was that law enforcement was actually believing the people who were coming forward and talking about either sightings or car damage with the bite marks and the scratches and the hair and the muddy footprints and everything, because these people who were coming forward were notably good, respectable citizens. So they would have no reason to lie. And they were just like, upstanding, normal citizens who like the police either already knew or knew of that never had caused a problem.
Well, how small is Bishopville, the place where this is happening? Is it like a small town or... Do you want me to look it up?
JP's on it already. Thank you.
Sorry, because I was picturing like a small ass town with like a few thousand people. But if it has like a metro station, then it has to be somewhat sizable.
I would say so, but I don't know. And you have to look at it in 1988 to determine.
It should be the same square footage. What? Oh,
unless it grew.
Hold on. They have a metro system?
Look up population.
Well, but it's on, the square footage is 2.37 miles.
Huh.
What?
How do we know it's been the metro stations? Like, has anyone ever seen it there?
No, it's just assumed, like, they're subway stations, and they're abandoned. It's not like they're active. They're just abandoned subway stations that I guess would have moved around to bigger cities. I don't necessarily know that fact either, but he just happens to appear near them. Or people who park their cars either near the abandoned subway stations or near the sewers or near the swamps. Words.
Oh, yeah, there's abandoned railways. Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Can the Virginia Lottery have your number? In the lottery's new game Cash Pop, you play one of 15 numbers. You can play up to 5 times a day. You can win up to $2,500. Cash Pop from the Virginia Lottery. Play the one that speaks to you. Drive to your closest retailer. For odds and more information, visit VALottery.com.
The "I didn't realize you liked me that way" deal. Because it's one thing to receive McDonald's, but an entirely other thing to know that they woke up early to face the world and bring you McDonald's breakfast still hot in the bag.
Appreciate you.
There's a deal for every morning. Now grab 2 loaded sausage burritos for only $3. Prices and participation may vary. Single item at regular price. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
Millions of Americans are getting back to work. CareerBuilder calls it the Great Rehire. And we want to help you get the best jobs before everyone else. CareerBuilder gives you the competitive edge to get the job you want, at the salary you want, with the benefits you want. We even send job alerts, so your perfect job lands right in your inbox. Go to CareerBuilder.com today, or get left with whatever jobs are left. Find your next job fast at CareerBuilder.com.
For the people at home,
Bishopville.
Kenzie is doing a victory dance.
I know, because I'm so happy I was right.
With a lot of arm raising and just a whole lot of self-pretension going on.
Thank you. Just to continue with the police believing these outstanding, respectable human beings of citizens or whatever, even though they did believe them, they still had to sit there and say, it could have been a bear.
Or a one-eyed cow.
It's always a bear.
It's always a one-eyed cow.
It's a bear, swamp gas, or a barn owl. That's the usual excuses.
My favorite so far is the running alligator.
But, okay, just listen. I get fur being found on these cars that have been damaged. Could definitely say bear. But it's not as if the cars are being broken into because they have food. It's not because, there's no breaking into cars, only the outward damage of said cars.
So he's just like beating the shit out of cars.
Yeah.
Is Lizardman like the Kyle of cryptids? And he just takes his anger out on animate objects? Do you think of like his hideout is full of like holes in the wall?
It's just it's just a cave with a crack in it.
Am I gonna have to edit that out?
No, that's fucking funny. That's fucking gold.
Stacy broke up with me. Boom! Take that, Van.
Well, and what makes me laugh too is like Sheep Squatch attacked cars, and now we have Lizardman attacking cars.
So
Fuck cars.
don't drive, people. That's how you stay safe.
Ride a bicycle.
Pedal away.
Oh my god. Anyways. So for the entire month, pretty much, of July, there were reports of Lizardman. And again, this is 1988. From that point on, Lizardman was not reported about again until 2004. However, this first report is kind of to me. I think this one definitely sounds like a bear. It was reported that a van had been attacked. The driver's side window was smashed in, and the interior had also been ripped apart.
That could have just been some vandal being an asshole.
Could have been a vandal. Could have been literally a bear crawling into it. Because at that point, if they did have food inside, I think that one would have made sense. Ugh.
Go on.
Yeah? Did you have a stroke?
I lost my train of thought.
A bear
A bear. What?
getting to the food in the van.
Or a vandal getting into the food in the van.
So in the same year of 2004, this was a couple months later in November, there was actually evidence found after a local man's building was broken into. So he had one of those like outbuildings where he would keep like freezers full of meat or whatever.
Yeah.
So something had broken into not only his outbuilding, but his freezers and removed the meat, ripped it to shreds, and ate most of it.
Could still be a bear.
Remove meat.
So law enforcement found 14-inch three-toed footprints on the premises because apparently it had rained the night prior.
Okay, so that is not a bear.
And at this point, the police, after hearing, their whole lives at this point about Lizardman in 1988, decided to take it upon themselves to plaster these footprints.
Oh, that's smart.
So this would be the first like legit evidence, in my opinion, like legitimate evidence. Because at this point, it's all been kind of like, oh, could be bear, could be Lizardman. He could have seen Lizardman, but who knows for sure. 14-inch feet were plastered. Yes. Okay, cool. They ended up showing this around. Initially, they were going to actually turn it in to the FBI, which I thought was cool. But they decided against it because they didn't think anyone would really believe them. Either way, they still had professionals that lived in the state take a look at these plastered footprints to determine if anything about it was worthy, if they were like fake, what was going on, or if there was like an animal out there that actually did have these tracks. So not only did like the Wildlife Service of South Carolina look at these plastered footprints, some biologists in the area did as well. And they determined that these footprints were considered unclassifiable and did not match any footprints of recorded animals in that state or in the country.
Are there any zoos near Bishopville? Because, like, it's a tale as old as time that rich people buy exotic animals, get bored, and then throw them out.
Yeah, that happens a lot in a lot of different states. And then they grow to a ridiculous size because they go from living in like a 10-gallon tank to like an endless gallon tank. So
that endless gallon tank is also known as the world.
Is there any zoos near there, JP, our fellow researcher? Because I suck at this.
You're fine. We're fine. It's all made up.
I don't know how close Columbia is to Bishopville, but that's the nearest one.
Oh, shit.
Well, how far is it?
Let's find out. Let's find out.
You're about to find out how far we are from Columbia.
No.
That's exactly what he's doing. Are you on your GPS?
I am, but you can set us two different places.
I know.
That has nothing to do with you. Oh, yeah, that's way too far away. It's like an hour away from each other.
I mean,
hour?
if it's just walking.
But nobody in Columbia was like, hey, there's a fucking lizard man.
I mean, like, if it's like a tiger or something that got out.
Yeah, there's like 2 towns between them.
Okay, yeah. Well, then again, it's not going to be taking the road.
That's true. Well, but it is a pretty straight shot down the road. Like,
So it could be an escaped animal.
Well, and you have to consider swamps. You have to consider different kinds of traffic. You have to consider just like, is this animal nocturnal? Is it like awake during the day? And then you also have to look at, again, like, it was reported in 1988, and then it didn't reappear until 2004. I find that to be strange.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
So that huge years of gap, wouldn't it be considered, like, you know, that it decided, like, la, 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 la. I'm gone. I don't know where I was going with that thought, but...
Would it be considered dead from old age? Yes, possibly.
A lizard that big? I mean, yeah, it probably would die pretty quick.
I mean,
not necessarily. Isn't there a bunch of, like, different, like, what, a Komodo dragon? Doesn't that thing live forever?
No, I'm just thinking, like, if it's an escaped animal, like, let's say, like, a lion or something, I don't think it would survive in the swamp that long.
But... this isn't a lion.
I'm saying if it is an escaped exotic animal.
But an escaped exotic animal could not only apply to a zoo. So let's say someone, like you mentioned already, had owned the animal and then let it go.
I guess they wouldn't come forward and be like...
no, they wouldn't come forward.
That's
they wouldn't be
my
like,
shit destroying all those cars.
What the fuck has feet that big?
And I feel like I need a tape measure and be like, all right, what's 14 inches?
14 inches is pretty goddamn big.
It's just over 2 feet, right?
No. It's like, what?
14 inches? Oh, it's just over 1 foot. For the people at home,
I couldn't tell you.
I'm a dumb bitch.
I couldn't figure out if you were fucking with me or not.
He took his hat off, ladies and gents. It's getting serious.
I would like to apologize to my parents for being a waste of an education. So I would say the footprints could be a hoax. I don't know why I'm doing JP's job of being the skeptic here. But like I also don't find that likely because one, making convincing tracks is hard if you don't know what you're doing. Two, who's that dedicated to fuck up their own shed and then spoil an entire freezer of meat?
Well, and it's not just that. Like, again, so the other reported case was in that same year was a van being attacked, but that one could be easily explained as something else. So why would, hypothetically, someone look at that and be like, wow, maybe Lizardman's back. You know what I should do? I should fake it and make it seem like he's here too. Wow, so smart. When in actuality, like that just seems stupid to me. Like, I don't understand why you would fake that, especially because at this point it had been how many years since they last seen or heard anything from him?
True.
I don't know. But this is my favorite part. In 2011, it was suspected that Lizardman and possibly Lizard Jr. killed 9 sheep and 4 goats 6 miles away from Bishopville. There were more tracks discovered, similar to the one in 2004, of the 14-inch ones. However, there was a second set of tracks, but these ones were 9 inches.
He has a baby!
Or he's got himself a lady.
What?
Lizard lady.
He has
Careful, you're gonna call my cat.
Lizard Man and Lizard Boy off having adventures. That's wholesome.
Maybe they're superheroes. Maybe they like save
Who murders sheep?
They're like mutants.
They gotta recoup their strength.
But like
It's a small price to pay for the safety of Bishopville.
So just like, but like, hear me out. Lizardman was sighted more than likely in 1987 by George Holloman Jr., but we're not 100% sure, so I'm just gonna roll with 1988. So from 1988 to 2004, no one sees him. And then they see him once in 2004, if not twice, if that van was Lizardman.
No, that van was a vandal.
Or a bear. And then in 2011, he's seen again. So 2004 to 2011, like, that's still a substantial amount of time. So where is he going?
He's raised his baby.
Yeah.
But why would he change drastically in his just like, I don't know, I feel, true crime here. Hi, I feel like I'm studying like a serial killer. Like, why would he change his pattern?
Because he has a baby
He
now.
like hibernated, knocked the bitch up. She popped out his baby, Lizard Boy, and then he raised him.
And now he has to feed his youngling. So, a fresh source of protein to help him grow.
So 9 sheep and 4 goats. That seems like a lot to go around.
Everything growing boy needs.
Maybe he's bringing some back for like the rest of his kids.
And can we also talk about the fact that in the span of time from 2004 to 2011, this man's feet have not grown.
Well, maybe that's just their max size, 14-inch.
I love that you said maybe he's bringing some back, despite the fact that he just mutilated the sheep. He didn't take any of them, so he's either like carrying just raw sheep in his hands, or you're implying he has some kind of baggie.
Maybe he's like
a kangaroo.
Maybe it's like a bird, and he just like regurgitates it.
And he has like a pouch that he stuffs it in.
Yeah, but why would he do that? Because like his child's with him, so it's not like he's bringing food back
maybe
to anyone.
Maybe it's not his child though. Maybe it's his lady. Maybe it's his baby mama. Maybe they go out together.
That's adorable.
Yeah, they're a couple.
I wonder when they started dating.
I don't know. Probably around 1988 when he left. He's like, you know what? I'm done with my life of crime.
And then he
I'm
came
gonna
back
find
in
myself a
2004.
lady. And then 2004, they had a kid or kids.
And they needed meat.
And they needed meat. And they were like, let's go back to our life of crime.
They're like the Bonnie and Clyde of cryptids.
Yeah.
Jeez.
They're gonna get shot up in a police ambush.
Well, apparently he's already been shot.
This is my new ship, guys.
Oh, yeah.
Lizardman,
Right
Lizard
here.
Lady.
New fandom. I mean, that's basically all that I have in the grand scheme of things on Lizardman. Mostly just due to the fact that since 2011, he has not been cited again. Okay. So what I wanted to do definitely is keep up with what you did last episode, Harmon, which is where you talked about how like modern era day stuff reflects on what cryptid.
You mean pop culture?
Media.
Pop culture, media, how it's impacted by cryptids and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Yes, because I know what I'm talking about, obviously.
Goddamn right you do.
It's not getting rocky at all.
You know all about Lizardman. It is, well, to be fair, it is like 10, 15 at night.
Yes, this is true. So, what I found interesting about Lizardman is that he was featured on Destination Truth, just like Sheep's Watch. Can't tell you anything about the episode.
Did you not watch it?
No.
Okay.
Very thorough
what
research.
else? What else you got?
He was also featured on something called Fact or Faked, and he was talked about in their episode Reptile Rampage, which was obviously an episode about different kind of reptiles
On Rampage.
similar to Lizardman.
Okay, what was the episode like? What did they talk about?
Reptiles rampaging.
Did you watch it?
No.
It's fucking research, bro. This is so good.
Someone named Linda Godfrey wrote a book called American Monsters.
Did you read it?
in which she includes a chapter on Lizardman as well.
Okay, what did it say?
God damn.
You couldn't read a fucking chapter? It's like 20 pages.
Guys, I tried.
No, I don't think you did. I think you're a liar.
Okay, so this next one, okay. I know.
It sounds like she read this one.
Okay, I'm excited.
Wait. So, Lizardman was featured in a children's book. This one was called...
That was a fucked up children's book.
It's called Maniacal.
Maniacal.
No.
Maniacal?
Yeah, maniacal. Yes. Yes.
Use your words, Kenzie.
Maniacal monsters and bizarre beasts. There's only a paragraph dedicated to him on one page, but this is where that artist rendition of what Lizardman looks like comes into play, because that's actually where that artist rendition is in the book. It shows Lizardman like green in a swamp with fur and his scales
His
and a
hair
weird
romper?
head. Yes,
Yeah.
his hair romper.
Yeah.
What color was it in the book?
It was green.
Oh, okay, that's on brand.
Yes, because he's a lizard.
What did the paragraph say? God damn it.
Considering that I only found the page in the interwebs.
Yes, the mysterious interwebs.
I couldn't like zoom in because it made it all blurry. And where I was like, I didn't think I was gonna go anywhere.
What if it was like, the key to the whole thing?
It was
Like
like
this
his
lady
true
knew.
identity.
I mean,
We
she
were this
is
close.
actually Lizard Lady.
at least I this one I got a little closer to in research attempts.
That's fair. Yeah, you got a picture.
Yeah.
I got a picture.
A maniacal picture.
Maniacal.
Nautical.
Nautical.
Monocle. Monocle monsters and strong beasts.
But yes, that is all I got on Lizardman. I did good in the beginning. Just ignore the ending.
Ending never happened.
So
She read all the books.
I guess
And watched all the shows.
All the shows. What were the shows?
what were the shows?
We watched the shows.
Okay, and I guess that leaves us with the question we try to answer at every episode: do we believe in the Lizard Man?
I guess so. I'm probably like 70% Lizardman, 30% bear.
Like a DNA test, or
I'm gonna come
Is this
across-
Lizard Bear?
Lizard bear?
Is
No, I'm just saying, based on not only the footprints, but like different kind of physical evidence and eyewitness reports and just that kind of stuff. I do definitely think he is more believable than most cryptids we have out there. But again, they're called cryptids, so you're never 100% sure. But I would definitely say he ranks at the top of my list in reality than Sheep Squatch ever did.
every episode we're gonna dunk on Sheep Squatch. So get
Big
ready for that.
Squatch.
He's the mascot, and we hate him.
Okay, I guess it's time for the skeptic's point of view. How about you, Jake?
Oh no, I think it's a bear. The feet are throwing
Again?
me off. It's so easy to chalk it up to a bear. It's so easy to just be a bear.
Okay, but what about the footprint?
That's the only thing that's throwing me off.
What about the scales?
So-
I'm not-
Running on the back two legs?
But it was
the
Okay.
only
70
thing
feet tall.
the only thing throwing me off is the actual evidence.
14-inch feet on a bear? Is that?
I don't know how big a fucking bear paw is.
How
I think
many
I'm out here measuring grizzly bear feet.
how many
Happy
bears
shit.
are in Carolina?
That's a good question.
Do bears live in swamps?
I don't believe so.
Do they live
I
in
don't-
sewers?
I don't.
How about abandoned railway stations?
I could see them living in an abandoned railway station.
All right, sewers.
It's kind of like a cave.
That'd be
Sewers?
terrifying.
Sewers? Yeah, possibly. If there's a big enough hole for them.
Swamps.
Not swamps.
So,
I can see them roaming swamps, not living in swamps. I don't know.
So my
I just find a 7-foot tall lizard man just really hard to believe.
but a 7-foot tall bear only runs on hind legs, covered in odd scales, and living in swamps and shit
And
makes
can-
more sense.
And can hold on to the roof
Of a
of
car.
speeding vehicles. That's an incredible bear.
Yeah, why is he green and wet like?
What? We took a bath. Okay.
Why is he wet?
If you like walk through the swamp, you got like moss on him, and then his fur's all wet. That would explain the hair.
All right, I don't think I can argue that because when I was in Costa Rica, I
Wait,
saw.
when you think about it,
No,
I'm
but-
saying it.
No,
Like that's why his arms, because bears can stand up on the back legs,
yeah,
and now his arms are green because he's been had fucking algae all over him.
but that's the thing.
The only
why
thing that
don't
makes
they-
sense is his head.
But they can't run fast like that.
I
They
think
might be
can
able to.
run.
Bears are pretty fucking fast.
No,
Pretty-
they can stumble on their hind legs. They're not running. Not enough to catch up to a car, then jump on and claw into it.
Yeah, we said the car could have been going slow.
Yeah, but
I mean, his recollection could be incorrect because he was, freaking out.
It was nighttime. He's probably tired.
but I will.
He was stressed out already from having his tire popping.
when he was on his.
I mean,
way to work.
that's just a generally stressful thing when something goes wrong with your car.
I wonder if he still went to work.
I fucking hope not.
Honestly, I feel like he did.
Even if it was just a bear, I'm like, no, I'm done for the day. I'm out.
I'm done. But what I was trying to say, when I was in Costa Rica, there was a porcupine chilling in a tree for safety, and it was covered in green stuff. And they told us that they do that as a form of camouflage, and that it is from different mosses that have clinged to them over time and different things they've come in contact with, and that it keeps them safe. So some porcupines would actually roll in it. That's what our guide told us. But it was really cool because I did see a giant ass porcupine in a tree covered in green stuff. And it was like, what the heck's wrong with it?
All right, so my verdict: it's a bear with moss on it.
But that still doesn't explain the footprints.
doesn't explain the 2 sets of footprints or the damage to the cars or anything. And what about the eyewitnesses?
I mean, there were eyewitnesses to Sheep Squatch too. They were all
There
fucking
wasn't.
they were all fucking liars.
There wasn't anything in for Sheep Squatch. Sheep Squatch was nothing.
So I guess that leaves me.
Yeah.
Yes.
The conspiracy theorist. I am open.
Apparently, I'm a true believer.
I'm not.
I'm open to the possibility of Lizardman. If it was just eyewitnesses, especially because most of them don't even see him, they just see the damage he causes, it wouldn't be enough for me. My belief in Lizardman hinges almost entirely on the footprints.
I think that's the best damn evidence ever, honestly.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I said like 70-30, like 70% Lizardman, 30% bear.
Pretty confident it's a bear.
So, are you gonna say that every episode?
No, if it's like legitimately like believable, it was just fucking footprints. Like, yeah, that's pretty concrete evidence, but like it's just footprints.
But
Like, it's
three-toed footprints that was deemed unclassifiable by multiple parties.
How does a lizard have hair? Why would it have hair? Evolutionarily,
Mutations.
that doesn't make sense.
Mutations.
How do you know it's not moss clinging to his body?
Ooh.
But they had found hair on the cars.
Could be moss. They didn't test it.
Yeah, they didn't test it. They didn't do anything with it. It just kind of proved that it was some kind of animal, and then they went on their merry way, so their insurance could cover it.
Moss and hair have very different textures.
I mean, but it depends on the type of moss, how long it's grown for. And it's not like these people are like fondling the hairs they find on their vehicle.
Oh yeah.
I feel like swamp people would know the difference between like moss and hair.
Are you referring to them as swamp?
They live near the swamp. We're mountain people.
At the same point, wouldn't they know what a bear is? Is that anything else we got on the Lizardman? Or is that it?
And that is all of it because I did a lot of research.
Hey,
Now let's watch those TV shows and read that book.
that would be fun. That would be like a fun little side thing, is like commentary on those episodes. That would be fun.
That would be fun.
What?
Well,
we have a Twitter now.
yeah.
That people can follow. We'll post updates of videos, and it's generally just a way to keep in touch with us. And so if you enjoy our show, consider subscribing and consider joining our Twitter.
But yeah, so thank you.
And this is the Cryptid Code. Wishing you a good evening and stay spooky.
Thanks again for listening to Scary Time by Indie Drop-In Network. Check out all of Indie Drop-In shows at indiedropin.com. If you would like your show featured, reach out to us at Indie Drop-In on all social media or go to indiedropin.com.
The I didn't realize you liked me that way deal. Because it's one thing to receive McDonald's, but an entirely other thing to know that they woke up early to face the world and bring you McDonald's breakfast still hot in the bag.
Appreciate you.
There's a deal for every morning. Now grab 2 loaded sausage burritos for only $3. Prices and participation may vary. Single item at regular price. Cannot be combined with any other offer or combo meal.
Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
If you want to build more sustainable eating habits, Noom Weight can help. Our program uses psychology to help you better understand your relationship with food and empower you with the practical knowledge and skills you need to build long-lasting habits and behaviors. And with Noom, there aren't any good or bad foods. Instead, we'll provide you with the wisdom and expert guidance you need to make informed choices that fit your lifestyle and health goals. Start your trial at Noom.com/balance. That's NOOM.com/balance.